Earlier this month, news outlets across the country reported that abortion will be on the ballot in the state of Florida. Watch.
Breaking news right now. The Florida Supreme Court ruling just minutes ago that voters will decide whether to expand abortion access. And as Victoria Cardenas reports tonight, both amendments to the state's constitution will now appear on the November ballot. She joins us live tonight. Victoria?
Yeah, Liz, tonight's decision is historic, and the impact of the state's court's ruling could have national implications, especially when it comes to abortion access. The Florida Supreme Court is leaving it to voters to decide some of the most controversial topics in American politics. The other amendment to protect abortion access until viability, estimated to be about 24 weeks of pregnancy.
Allow me to give you 3 quick reasons why you need to vote no to Amendment 4 this November. First of all, because of what the amendment itself says. This amendment is misleading and manipulative. The ballot title says, Amendment to Limit Government Interference with Abortion. Do you see how misleading that title is? After all, this is not about government interference. Instead, the proponents of this amendment want to allow abortion until the moment of birth. That's what this is about. After all, liberals love to twist language and verbally package things in a manipulative way. You may remember that President Biden did that in his recent State of the Union address when he kept referring to reproductive rights. We understand people have the right to reproduce. They just don't have the right to murder their preborn baby. This amendment uses the word viability. The news clip that we just showed earlier suggested that viability occurs at approximately 24 weeks. But the amendment is deliberately using viability as a vague term which would ultimately allow full-term abortions to take place. Also, the amendment explains that it will protect the patient's health. But again, that's extremely vague and will be used in conjunction with a female's emotional health or even her financial situation that is causing her to be stressed and therefore mentally unhealthy. You and I need to vote no to Amendment 4 because of what the amendment says, but secondly, vote no to Amendment 4 because of what they're saying. And by that I mean pro-abortion advocates are now admitting that abortion is murder. That's what biblical Christians have been saying for decades, but now pro-abortion advocates are agreeing that it's murder. Watch Bill Maher explain.
You believe it's murder. You know, that's why I don't understand the 15-week thing. Or the Trump's plan is, let's leave it to the states. You mean, so killing babies is okay in some states? Like, I can respect the absolutist position. I really can. I scold the left on when they say, oh, you know what? They just hate women, people who aren't pro-life, pro-choice. They don't hate women. They just made that up. They think it's murder. And it kind of is. I'm just okay with that. I am. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you. That's my position on that. What?
That's quite harsh, Bill.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you hear that? Bill Maher admits that abortion is murder and that he's okay with it. If pro-abortion advocates were as honest as Bill Maher was in that moment, they would have entitled this ballot Amendment to Murder the Preborn, because that's what it is, as opposed to the manipulative title about government interference. Silly and absurd, really, is what that is. Next, I want you to hear from a couple Florida senators who I think are speaking helpfully about Amendment 4. Here's what they're saying.
This amendment goes far, far beyond where most Floridians would land on the issue.
Sadly, this November, Floridians will be faced with the most deceptive and dangerous ballot question in our state's history. This is not about government interference in abortion, but rather about allowing abortion up to the moment of birth.
Those senators are correct. That's exactly what this is about. Also, our governor, Ron DeSantis, said that if Amendment 4 passes, it would make Florida like California in their abortion laws. He also explained that this amendment would override parental consent laws and that, quote, the amendment is very, very extreme in a number of different ways. So vote no to Amendment 4 because of what the amendment itself says, secondly, because of what they're saying, and thirdly, and most importantly, because of what God says. God says that life begins at fertilization in our mother's womb. Psalm 139, Luke 141, Jeremiah 1:5, and several other passages declare that truth. And it's God who said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness." Human life deserves to be treated with dignity and honor because humans are created by God and are image bearers. And in spite of what famous theologian Whoopi Goldberg recently said, abortion is mentioned in the Big Ten.
And it's not mentioned in the Big Ten. I'm just going to say.
No.
In the Big Ten, it is not mentioned.
The commandments?
Yeah.
Exodus 20:13 plainly says, "Thou shalt not kill." So that's 3 reasons why every Floridian should vote no on Amendment 4. This truly is a life or death issue, and the pro-abortion advocates that are promoting Amendment 4 are promoting it very well. They're hosting banquets in Florida. They're creating websites. They're working very hard to get their abortion amendment approved. To put it bluntly, they're advocating for death. I encourage you to join me in advocating for life. So if you would, please share this video with others, especially those who live in Florida, and be sure to comment below and let me know that you plan to vote no to this Amendment 4 this November.